to the Education Technical Division inaugural program. My name is Wyldon Fishman. I'll be the timer and moderator. The technical divisions are a program of the American Solar Energy Society. Join us as a professional member. Students get to join and the divisions, as do life members. Your dues help pay for our office staff and our conference. Thank you, Ella. John Steele, our first Education Division Chair. Are you ready?
I am ready. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen.
Looks good.
Oh, good. Well, welcome everyone. As my name is John Steele, and I'm the new Education Division Chair, and I'm so excited to be here and start the ball rolling, as it were, toward more knowledge, more education, more interactions for ASES in the domain of education. Although that's what we do, as you know. Here's an outline of the slides. Basically, talk about mission, goals, a little bit from our ASES website, and then hand it off to these two amazing folks who are doing creative education stuff right now. We'll hand it back to me, and we'll do discussion and feedback. So, as you may know, if you've read the mission statement for ASES, ASES accelerates equitable solar adoption and universal sustainable living by educating and building community. And certainly educating and building community are integrated together. So we really are hitting on all cylinders on this. And having a separate division for education really is in an effort to tie all these different divisions together in a way to share with the world our mission. So the goals within the educational division are listed here. Basically develop and share curricula with K-12 community colleges, universities, technical programs. We want to collaborate with educators, researchers, industrial professionals, and oh, by the way, the community at large, so that we're getting knowledge out to the people who are looking for it. And principally, we're going to curate and distribute educational materials that the divisions are developing and partner organizations. And you're going to see several of those partner organizations in this presentation today, and realize that there's an amazing amount of really great stuff happening. And then near and dear to my heart, develop hands-on project-based learning. And you'll see again that that's already happening among our colleagues right now. And of course, foster diversity, equity, and inclusion so that everybody gets to join in the wonderful things that solar and renewable energy and sustainability do for us. So I want to just exit out of this and bring over my site right here. This is the ASES website, and if you go to the education tab, then you'll see that resources for schools is one of the main things that we have available. And I'm just scrolling through it so that you can see the list and opportunities for things that you might be interested in. And in particular, I want to point out a couple of them. One is the teaching engineering link, which is an incredible number of lessons that have been developed by folks at University of Colorado. In fact, there are 1,388 different modules that can be shared and used in the classrooms or by anyone who's interested in doing a STEM curriculum. And then the other one that is fun is this solar energy workbook, which is really something where you can get out your own crayons and make your own coloring book. And our executive director, Carly, is responsible for that. So that's also the sort of thing that's available. And then I will just, because we are going to talk about buildings, there's this really cool slideshow about every building is a solar building. And so you're going to learn more about that in just a moment when I hand off to Debbie Coleman. So anyway, that's the current state of the ASES website, but really our main driving effort in this coming year is going to be developing a hub of it for education. And so, again, I'm going to hand it over to these other educational creators. And as I did this, I realized this old guy from being a professor, everything is all words. But here's really what the way to present this to you. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to Debbie. And I'm going to stop sharing.
Well, thank you so much, John. And yeah, thank you for mentioning that every building is a solar building slideshow that I had created a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So as John said, and I guess I should back up and say thank you, John, and thank you, ASES, for the opportunity to have this education webinar. I'm the chair of the Solar Building Division. I'm an architect with Sun Plans, and I'm also on the ASES board. Julian Wong is the vice chair of the Solar Building Division, and I'd just like to mention briefly 4 other solar building members that have been very involved with the education part of solar buildings. Victor Olye, Alfredo Fernandez, an educator, Keith Sharp, who created a building division, had a grant and had a conference this year, and Dorothy Gehring, an educator who is on the technical advisory committee for the ASES conference. So the divisions overall with ASES are kind of a gateway to get involved with ASES. As you know, we have 9 divisions, and the new education one, we went back and forth. Do we want to create another division? Because each division was already doing its own education. But then we said, yes, we do want a new education division because we really want to focus on the educators and bringing them more into ASES. And so each of the divisions, it's a way for people to get involved that are looking to build their career. There's a lot of leadership opportunities, exposure for schools and organizations, opportunities for students and professors to become published through the conferences or Solar Today. And the divisions are very open. So there's lots of ways to create your own opportunities. So don't be afraid to reach out. The Solar Building Division, we are continuously studying and adapting to ways that the sun interacts with buildings, both passive and active. All building types. We also feel strongly that we need to promote building energy efficiency and resiliency prior to putting on the solar panels, or I should say integrating the solar panels. So we really would like to be part of educating and training the next generation of designers of solar buildings. So I'm so excited about the other people on this panel that are already doing that. solar building members. We really want to increase the numbers that are college educators in the architecture and engineering programs, K through 12 teachers. It might be science, math teachers, but it could be teachers, all kind of subjects, because solar is such an overlay. And of course, getting the students involved as much as possible. And then here I've listed the other solar building members that are more the traditional ones, but I would just love to see us all interacting and educating more. A lot of topics. Our focus this year, starting with the conference, is going to be making sure the architecture and engineering curricula that's already out there is exposed, and to bring to light a lot of the competitions. And here you can see all the different subjects. I would love personally to see more traveling solar building exhibits. Every time we go to a Sunday event, I have this vision of there being a building there that shows how the sun is interacting with it, both passive and actively. Partner potential, I think we all really want to build the partners a little bit more, with whether it be with student competition, such as Building Next, the various architectural engineering programs, and maybe especially focusing on some of the 2-year programs. The National Solar Tour has always been a big educational part of ASES, because hundreds of participants are already educating their neighbors about what they have done with solar. There's a lot of professional organizations out there that are continuously looking for continuing education. And of course, all the other high school programs that and K through 5 and middle, that I'll let the other presenters speak more about. But we're really, in summary, looking for more educational partners. The online community, just to highlight this briefly, is a place where all divisions can interact. There's the Everything Solar Forum, where you can throw everything out there. If you have something very specific to just say your education division members, you might want to post it there. But please do not be shy. Anybody, whether you're at the leading edge or just learning, to post information, put ideas, successes, and questions. And then Ella does a remarkable job with ASES on posting on LinkedIn. So we just ask you to please continue to post there. And last but not least, I hope I see everybody that's on this call today at Solar 2026 in Austin next October. It's education focused. The call for papers is already out, so we encourage people to submit an abstract for a workshop, poster, forum, and presentation. I'm hoping that we're going to have just an education big component, and we'll see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And our next speaker is Remy, and she'll be loading her slides. She's ready.
Thank you so much. And thank you also, ASES, for having me as part of this educational panel. And I'm very excited about the new education division and excited to work with you all to move forward those objectives. My name is Remy Pangle. I work as the executive director of REpowering Schools. We are a nonprofit that is working to strengthen the clean energy industry through growing the skilled and prepared workforce. That looks like a lot of different things. We are working not only with colleges and universities, that is our kind of bread and butter, but we know that industry is always excited about engaging with the K-12 community, as well as the greater general public in regards to education. So definitely are working with partners to do that, many of which you may know, Need, Kidwind, We Share Solar, and lots of other folks that are doing amazing things in that K-12 space, not reinventing a wheel, but just partnering with the right folks on that piece. But today I'm going to focus a little bit more on our college and university network and the programs that we offer to kind of enhance the student experience to get them ready for a job or an internship in the industry. This is just a quick map that shows the extent of our engagement. We work with universities all over the country and even outside of the US. This is a snapshot. We have a lot more colleges in the network. It's just hard to show them all on one map. But excited to meet all of you on the call and hopefully get some new universities and colleges engaging. We have a variety of programs. We aim to support students in industry relevant research. We encourage students to come to industry conferences and we teach them how to network. We recognize the amazing work going on in the industry and also are working to educate more students as well as faculty on careers in our industry. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on each of these. Within our industry relevant project-based funding, this is funding contingent. And so it's a challenging year, we all know, but we are excited. In the fall of 2026, we will have some funds specifically from AES to support community engagement projects. So working with students and universities to host community engagement opportunities. So I think that's kind of right up the alley here. So definitely want to keep in touch as those get announced. We are at lots of different conferences throughout the year. This year, Distributed Wind Conference in Arlington in February. We are so looking forward to continuing our engagement with Ella and the ASES folks at Solar 2026. And we attend the RE Plus conference every year and bring, usually each one of these, we bring about a dozen students with us. We offer poster session opportunities for them to share their research and projects with industry. Sometimes they even get an oral presentation. A lot of times we bring industry in to present to them, or at least we get one-on-one meetings with industry. Sometimes there's technical review panels if that is warranted. We love the opportunity to have them go on field trips or what we call industry experiences. And if there's a career fair, we love to get them involved in those as well. Every event is a little different, but those are the main highlights of having students participate in these events. We do have a recognition program. It's called the Renewable Energy Education Awards. We co-host this with the Kidwin Project and recognize educators and students at both the K-12 and the college level, as well as industry champions. And we also love to recognize schools that have wind or solar at their school. So they're powered by renewable energy. But not only that, but they're bringing that into their classroom and doing the cool things and using the cool curricula that we were just talking about. And that's just a designation. So they get a certificate and like a plaque to put on their wall. So that's something fun we do once a year. And those nominations will open soon. And then last but not least, we also have networks. We have a faculty network and a student network, and both of those have monthly webinars. On the college student network webinars, we're connecting them mainly with industry professionals to learn about their careers and what they do and get some networking. And then on the faculty network side, it's more about coursework and research and other opportunities to engage their students in workforce efforts. All of those webinars are recorded and put on our YouTube channel, so I highly recommend that you find us on YouTube and subscribe. And then all of our past webinars are up there. And then I know that we're short on time, but I did want to tell everybody about some new programs that we have this year. We have a new funder on Google, and they are funding us to start a Google Scholars program, which is basically a short course on solar siting challenges in Virginia, with the intention that these college students will then be given the tools to engage in their communities, like writing op-eds, going to public hearings, and things like that. So it's really action focused. And then we're also going to be rolling out a career assistance program, which we will pilot in Virginia, and hope that we can get more students into internships and jobs, but not be another job board. So doing that in a little more curated way. And with that, I just want to say thank you to all of our sponsors. If any of you are looking to invest in workforce, we're happy to work with you and always looking for new sponsors. And with that, I will stop sharing and turn it over to our next speaker.
Thank you, Liz Robinson, coming up from Philadelphia. Do you want to unmute? Liz, unmute. You have a
You all
chance.
see that?
Yes, looks
Great.
good. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, ACES. I'm Liz Robinson. I direct the Philadelphia Solar Energy Association. We are a local nonprofit corporation. Let's see. Sorry, this isn't moving.
But I can see the exciting solar sprint, and it's such an old program of American Solar Energy Society.
Yeah, there we go. So sorry. The first thing I wanted to mention is we have developed some tools for schools. We're very interested in supporting schools' efforts to go solar, and we're really focused on solar on schools and in schools. So I'll start with the on schools part. These toolkits, there's one for schools and one for nonprofits, have been revised so they incorporate now all of the reductions, if you will, in the federal support for solar. So the new requirements for the federal tax credit, and there are still, a range of technical assistance, grants, and so forth to support schools' efforts. So both of these are in their final step of development, and they'll be available on our website on Friday. One of the nice things about these toolkits is they include proformas for school administrators to determine if they want to direct ownership, if they want to, directly own their system, or if they want to go the PPA route. So these proformas are very robust and help run scenarios to help schools make the right decision. I know I don't have to tell you all the advantages of going solar, but one of the things that we always stress is that schools have even more reasons than everyone else to go solar because of the educational opportunity that having a solar system on site create for schools. And of course, the federal tax credits are still available for corporations, for corporate commercial customers for at least another year. And it's really critical that schools understand how to use those tax credits. Switching now to solar in schools, we've developed quite a bit of curriculum and experiential learning opportunities for students. So just starting here, all of this is available on our website to download for free. We are very focused on experiential learning and try to bring hands-on experiences into the classroom. And our latest endeavor is the solar kit lesson plans. I'll come back to that in just a second. We've also got a set of lesson plans to help students who have solar on their school or on their property to use that data to monitor the system and then use that information in math and STEM classes. There's both fifth and sixth grade curriculum and additional math lesson plans on our website. And this is an area that we're constantly expanding. So our latest endeavor are these solar kits. And, frankly, I know some of you have, a lot of experience with upcycling of solar. And we have found these, a farmer took these panels off of his roof. He had 60 of these that are in perfectly good working order because he was upgrading his system. So we are fabricating solar kits from these. And it turns out that these old panels are fabulous for the classroom. You can see it here on the tabletop. They're very small, they're lightweight, easy to use, and they can be configured to run either on 6 volts or 12 volts. And that's just a really marvelous, simple, aspect of this that teachers are using in the classroom. A retired engineer here has developed a super simple, very elegant design for us that we're now using in the next 50 of these kits. So when we do a teacher training, we give teachers a panel, access to the lesson plans, and a banker's box full of classroom materials. That includes a fan, a pump, LEDs, batteries, etc., that accompany the lesson plans. And the pump is just as illustrated here with the solar panel. We started with the Junior Solar Sprint, which is a fantastic, as you know, really wonderful program developed by the U.S. Army back in the 70s, which is always amazing, and lives on every year in Philadelphia and many places still across the country. But this is focusing mostly on middle school, teaching students to design, build, and then race model solar cars. This is a really wonderful project that we do now in concert with Drexel University. This is the way the racetrack lays out on the campus, and the engineering students are just, fantastic support, mentoring, and helping us. This is the troubleshooting table, so just a great hands-on experience for students every year. And I can't emphasize enough how important teacher training is. We have found teachers really, really, really need a lot more support. They need more training in both hands-on and in curriculum. So we try to focus a lot every year on supporting teachers. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. That was wonderful. Tor.
Let's see.
There he is. All right. Looks good.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. So this first slide is just a medley of students working on various solar hands-on projects, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I wanted to turn my hobby into my job, so I started this nonprofit, the RAHUS Institute, back in '98. I put my kids to work, my wife to work. They're off doing other environmental careers now, but and then in 2000 we started Solar Schoolhouse, which is a program of the RAHUS Institute, and we're based here in Sebastopol, California, Northern California. So my own background is I studied mechanical engineering at UC Santa Barbara, and it was somewhere in Santa Barbara I ran across this building that was solar powered, passive solar, solar out water, et cetera. And I always just thought it was super cool. And that kind of started my, I don't want to say obsession, my passion with studying and getting involved with solar. I worked for a contractor briefly when solar meant hot water. Um, and then I worked at utilities, and I will say my first ASES conference was back in 1991. So back in 2010, we put all the stuff we've been learning together and built this house that's both a workshop and a live workspace. And that's a whole other story. But we tried to incorporate as much as we could from what we learned. So Solar Schoolhouse themes, it was really kind of trying to give students in the whole K-12 spectrum a solar experience. So that means hands-on, engaging, fun. We use a little history to study it. I love John Perlin's resources, the 6,000-year story of solar energy, to put things in perspective. And then we use the home as sort of the ultimate solar collector, as that's relatable. And then more recently, we're using stories to introduce students to new jobs, including biomimicry, resiliency, etc. And then wherever possible, we tie in a real world context. So I will say, as we go forward, I'm just going to show you a little bit of some of our resources and some projects, and then we'll see how long that takes us. So we're small, so we're really focused on teachers and empowering them with the tools so that they can share it with their students. For a good 15 years, we had a summer institute. This is our last group. Right now, we're not doing that, but it was probably the funnest week I have every year. Exhausting but fun. Um, and I will say, so these are all middle school teachers we've worked with in a town in Southern California. And I will say, a lot of people want to put solar in just the science class. And, we worked with culinary arts. There's a STEM teacher, there's the classic science teacher, robotics, and then a teacher that just covered all subjects. So it's really, I sort of resist that putting it as a science only thing. It's very, very broad based kind of topic. And then I put this slide in because we had one of our first summer institutes at this outdoor school up in the foothills. And as a class, we built this solar fountain in '04. And I was just there earlier this year and discovered it's still working, which is, first like, wow, that's still working. And these were actually using panels from Sacramento's early solar program from years ago. So our goal is really to develop materials and projects and then share them out with other programs, with educators, et cetera. And so these are just a little snapshot of some books and DVDs. The Your Solar Home comes in a guidebook. It's a poster. It's also a 16-page reader that's sometimes a little more accessible. Teaching solar was sort of this idea as we got to know more and more teachers doing unique projects, compile those stories into this guide and share them out. So that's a resource that is available. Obviously, nobody has a DVD play anymore, but so it's streamable now. I will say the schools that have put solar on, we've worked with before, and in the course of doing that, we came up with this template for a solar poster that, it's to make it a cheaper poster. The template's largely the same, some custom ingredients go in for the specific site, and it's a way to have some sort of recognition that that school's special, because sometimes the kiosk doesn't work after a while. And then probably a few years ago, we decided, there's all this obsession with series and parallel wiring. What about talking about all the cool things that photovoltaics, solar cells power around the world? So we came up with this poster. There's a little video, an article bank, and now a deck of cards, just to facilitate greater perspective of all these things you can power with solar cells, large and small. And we encourage anybody doing a solar hands-on activity to sort of use this in parallel or something like this. So here's a couple hands-on projects. This solar spin art activity, I will say, has shown up in so many different, it's so simple. It's a solar cell connected to a motor and a wheel, and if you put it in the sun, it'll spin and you can make art with it. So 3 or 4-year-olds could do this and on up. And so it's got a wide versatility for introducing a kinetic solar experience. And then a few years ago, we created this solar carnival project, which is basically what can we let students build after they've experimented with circuits? And so this we came up with all these rides that are basically, carnival stuff, and they get to use cardboard and so forth to create these little kinetic devices that are just kind of fun. And then we borrowed this cradle to cradle concept and are really sort of trying to work with that because teachers don't have the budget to buy new supplies every year to make a project generally. And so how can we encourage them to say, look, students, you're going to have to deconstruct this carnival at the end of the project, and we're going to repurpose the solar cells, et cetera, recycle the cardboard. And so we're trying that more and more because actually it's a good practice out in the real world to design like that. And then, in some places we called it a zero waste solar carnival challenge. Still playing on the names a little bit. And then to facilitate all this, we've been making this solar cell classroom set for years, and I think we updated it about 3 or 4 years ago to make it more useful for carnival projects and solar spin art. Whirligigs is this catch-all term that's like solar kinetic device that is just fun. And I'll say anytime you put a solar cell motor, a fan, or a pump and watch something move for the first time, you get this look of awe on your face. I don't care how old you are. And that's what I think of as a solar experience is like, okay, you've got them. Let's go from there. And they take shape in a lot of different ways. We got creative during the pandemic to use post office boxes and stuff to ship things and so forth. Another project is solar cell phone chargers or power bank chargers. And so we call them solar notebooks. And we've distributed a bunch of these over the last number of years. And you can buy these ready-made, but you can also build them. And these are some different educational settings where students have made their own solar cell phone charger. Fountains, we saw some slides of a fountain from Philly. This is a kit that we've made and figured out that if you made the little plastic box a little taller, it can serve as the bucket, and then the panels, solar modules, fit on a binder and fit inside the bucket. So it's easier to manage. And it's also, so this is just a bunch of PVC clear pipe and fittings. And then you can do a whole series of activities with it from just like make it work, kind of thing. So this one's been pretty useful. I'll also say trying to find an opening in a classroom, like where solar activity will fit. Usually it's finding the science standard that will justify it. But in this case, it's a social studies standard where in third grade, they're supposed to learn all about community, environment, etc. And we made this little eco-village board that students learned about eco-houses in eco-villages and all these different aspects. And they basically hooked a little LED to their houses, which connected to a strip in the middle, which ran to a little solar panel in the window of the classroom that lit up the whole village. And super excited. This one's pretty successful, but I've only done it in one community so far. And then we also host these events. I'm not going to play you this video where we have sponsorships. We had a solar discovery fair and for the community and just had an opportunity for people to come out and build things, cook things, etc. We've also held competitions, but I like the discovery fair concept, which can be adapted to a lot of different settings, either at the school or community. And that's me. So I will
Thank you, Tor.
sign out.
Great. We're going to go back to John Steele, our first chair of the Education Technical Division. Unmute, John. John, you're muted. John Steele. Unmute. He's busy loading.
There we go. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. And are you seeing my screen now?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, I got to go back and click that green arrow. There we go. All right. How about now?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know about the rest of the audience, but I'm just amazed at the breadth and depth and ingenuity and creativity of all these wonderful programs. And that was really the motivation and goal of this um, uh, webinar, is to show that there's already an amazing breadth and depth of educational materials out there, educators and entities that are doing this work. And so really the goal for ASES is to bring that all together. And as I say, build a framework where we can find a focal point that allows all of these wonderful activities and entities to show off their great work. And I have to say that it's already in my mind that we're going to have several more webinars where we can go in more depth with these folks. And I've already been contacted by a number of other folks who are doing great work. So be prepared for more calls for our announcements of webinars from ASES going through this. As we build this framework, we have both opportunities and challenges. And the opportunities are, again, to integrate together a place where a much larger audience can find these materials and educators can show their wares, as it were. And at the same time, the challenge is when you look at ASES, we have these 8 other divisions. The breadth of information and knowledge and activity is truly a challenge, and I have to admit that I'm actually overwhelmed by that part of it right now. But as folks who've already shown up for this webinar, you can help shape this, what I'm calling ASES Ed. And I'm interested to know if other people have other ideas. I've thrown out some, engineering education village, online learning portal, digital resource center, ASES library, or even ASES Academy. And looking at the time, I'm just going to skip over it. But if you have not gone online and typed in Khan Academy, maybe people raise their hand if they've actually been there. But Khan Academy is this amazing educational site that provides really good teaching and learning tools for all many areas in K, particularly K through 12 and undergraduate. And I bring it up because I think I'm looking for a model for how this website, aka framework, looks. And so I say that as a way of opening it up the floor to all the people who are in attendance to provide comments, suggestions, and questions to our group of presenters. And so are there any questions, comments, suggestions out there?
John, I think the first thing we could do is bring down the slides and open up the possibility for having everybody to see each other. So if we close and then we just, there we are. That'd be good. That way we can use the symbol of the hand raised. And I did want to mention that Chuck, you had mentioned that your new 4th edition is out. So if you wish to raise your hand and come in and tell us.
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's this is a book that was started by Frank Creek. Some of you may know Frank. He passed away in 2018, but we've taken over that textbook. The 4th edition just came out. It's aimed at college students, particularly mechanical engineering students. But I was thinking, folks might find it a useful reference. You might see if your library can get a copy. I'm probably not supposed to tell you this, but if you search enough on the internet, you can probably find a PDF somewhere because there's so many people that grab these books and then post them. Um, but yeah, it covers all the different renewable energy technologies. There is kind of a focus, I would say, on carbon reduction. For example, in buildings, we cover electrification of buildings, of course, electrification of transportation with battery electric vehicles, that sort of thing. But it covers the fundamentals as quite a bit on wind power, quite a bit on PV, both the theory and practice of designing a PV system. So anyway, it's not something I make any money off of, but it's something we put a lot of effort into to bring it up to date. It's the copyright on it is now 2026, but it's available now. Happy to answer any questions, or you can send me an email if you want, chuck.kutcher@gmail.com.
So Chuck, could you post that in the chat?
Yeah, it is. I gave a link to the book in the chat.
Right in
Oh,
the very beginning of the chat.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
Anybody have any questions or ideas? Not seeing any.
Well,
There we
hi.
go.
Hi. Sorry, I'm driving, so I'm not looking at my phone right now.
Good for you,
My
Charlie.
my name is Colleen Fisk. I'm work for a nonprofit organization called Renewable Energy Alaska Project. I'm the education director, and you're already engaging with Remy, who I've worked with a lot, which is fantastic. And I'm not, haven't been really involved with ASES, but I saw that this webinar was happening and really excited to learn some new things. I've been teaching renewable energy for almost 10 years now, so always great to learn about new resources. I didn't hear you talk about engaging informal educators. I'm a little bit concerned that a lot of these resources and access to the community forum is essentially behind a type of paywall if you have to be a member to access it. And I think a lot of formal educators in the K through 12 space, you wouldn't have a lot of them who'd be willing to go through those steps to access them. But I think a lot of people like me in the non-formal education space would then be able to, would be much more able to do that and then share with, the formal educators in their network. So I'm curious if that's something you've thought about, or that access to it that I'm a little concerned might be too many steps for some teachers to be willing to do.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, Colleen. I think that's a really great point. One of the things that we're learning is that informal educators, and specifically people who educate in environmental education centers. So in the Philly region, we have a lot of wonderful outdoor environmental education centers. Those educators are perfect. They're just, excellent group of people to bring into solar energy education because they're very accustomed to working hands-on and in very informal settings outdoors. So that's a really, excellent group of people in addition to classroom teachers. We also are very open to homeschool, kids who are being homeschooled, and frankly, just parents who are really willing to work as mentors for small groups of students. So I agree with you absolutely that it's really important to make these resources accessible to all teachers.
Well, Liz, definitely and Colleen, keep us on track and help us understand, the sort of the 1, 2, 3 of where we need to be able to do that work.
Yeah, a lot of classroom teachers are not accustomed to going outside, taking their kids outdoors. And solar really, I think it was who is it who said, once you get movement. You get the solar system, creating movement or pumping water. You've got them hooked. You know what I mean? So students are really they want to see it function. They want to see it work. So going outside and making this part of the experience is so important. So which is, classroom teachers aren't accustomed to doing that.
I agree. The informal educators are a huge piece of the puzzle. They, like we mentioned, they have a little bit more freedom. And a lot of times, this is the great thing about being an informal educator is that when kids come to you, they usually are there because they want to be there. So it makes it way more fun. Like when we do summer camps and, things like that, then those kids are so much more engaged because it's not to meet an SOL. It's not to prepare for the test. It's just to have fun. And so, the work that Colleen's organization does is critical, and we do definitely want to make sure they're considered in the way that we plan to train and disseminate these curricular materials as we move forward. Sorry,
Thank you.
Henry, you had your hand raised and I jumped
Yeah,
in.
we have a question over here from Henry. Henry.
Yeah, hi. I just was wondering, since there are both, there's a lot of information and curriculum inside and outside of ASES, I wondered whether this division can provide the kind of like a card catalog, some clearinghouse so that people can see what's out there. Colleen, I think, does the training, trades training as well, so that I've always wanted to be able, how do you find a solar contractor? You can't do that anymore. So that how do you find a training course? You don't find that anymore. So that both, from K to 12, or continuing education or trade or professions, if the education division could be that kind of curator, not necessarily limiting it. I worry about that paywall issue, even though I am a ASES member. But I sort of wonder whether we can provide that. And also, I think we do have, ASES does have a library at University of at Penn State. And I'm wondering whether we can whether we can put some of that weight on that library, or some, where does all this information go? Where does that great book that Chuck was mentioning, where can people find that? Or how do they even know that it exists? Anyways.
Henry, I just to interject again, I love the idea. I did not know that there was a library at Penn State that ASES had, so that's fantastic to know. Something that we have done, and I'm wearing a separate hat now. I work with REpowering schools, but I also do K-12 education in Virginia. And we work to develop a lending library of kits. And so all of the things that Tor mentioned that, that they're using in Philly, all of those resources, imagine that there was one of everything at Penn State. And you could have a centralized training location where we're training educators. Anyway, it's just a thought.
I love the idea of the lending library. That's great.
Penn State probably needs funding to be able to support this, but we should at least look at them as being that. Because recently I had some objects, and I was trying to figure out where do I put them, and now some of those go to the Smithsonian, but not knowing where they are is impossible. Like ISIS has a virtual museum, and there should be some kind of a connection, but where's the center of it? Anyways, just a thought.
And also know that Penn State is hosting a solar competition for kids. So if you didn't know that, I'm happy. I'm actually helping to host that, and would be more than happy to bring more people into that fold as we.
Can you put that information in the chat, Remy?
Yeah, I think it's on March 5th.
Okay. So I want to second Colleen's comment, because I think really we want to be in order for us to build a larger community, we have to be open, and clearly that's a discussion that I'll have to have with the powers that be within ASES. But somehow we have to be able, people who would not otherwise be able to see our materials we've got to figure out some way to make that work. And I appreciate her comment. It's been something that's been on my mind for a while. So So other comments, suggestions, questions?
Yeah, Chuck Cudger has his hand up and he is.
Yeah, hi, thanks. I just wanted to mention, when you consider all the different renewable energy technologies, the one that the average person is most likely to get involved in is photovoltaics. And of course, ASES headquarters is in Boulder. And just a few hours drive from Boulder is the Solar Energy International in Paonia, Colorado. And they do a fantastic job of training people all over the world on how to design and install photovoltaics. They cover solar thermal also, but nowadays it's generally PV that people are interested in. And I don't know if ASES has been working to collaborate more with SEI, but I would say that anything ASES can do to help SEI get the word out, that would be great. They were very generous to me. There's probably, I think, 7 diagrams in the PV chapter of our textbook that I got from SEI, and of course I credited them and I thanked them for that. But anyway, they're just a great organization, and I'll just put in the pitch if any of you ever want to learn anything about PV design and installation. SEI is terrific. There are other places in North Carolina, other places around the country. SEI isn't the only place, but it's one of the original ones, and it's very, very well done.
Thank you, Chuck. Jay, you had your hand up.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah. I was just going to mention as another resource, we do a webinar each Tuesday at noon on solar, and that is sponsored through ASES as well. And we just welcome everybody to join in there if you want to geek out about solar every week and talk about in-depth articles. And I will also shamelessly plug our textbooks on solar installation and design. We've got the residential, and then we've got the commercial textbook. So this curriculum's available. It's really geared more towards the person who's learning to install the systems. It's not theoretical in nature. It's like I always tell the students, you're going to learn how to hook this thing to that thing and not die. That's really your main goal. I'm not too worried about who discovered the photovoltaic effect. I just don't want you to kill your coworker. So it's taking that approach.
Thanks, Jay. John, back to you.
So I wanna second both of those. Chuck, I actually have taken several courses from SEI and can I learned a lot from those courses, and they really do a good job. And I've been attending Solar Noon Tuesdays with Jay for some time, and every one of them is inspiring, and I learned something new. And so he also does training courses. So those are a couple of the examples of, again, external entities that we need to figure out how to integrate into this educational effort, because they're an important part of that. So.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, SEI, in addition to full week-long courses that you can take at their campus, and I've taken some of them myself, as John has, they offer a lot of online courses. And so I put in a link to their site there if you're interested.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, everyone. We have 2 more minutes.
Yeah, I don't want to cut anybody off, but I want to say that I'm going to claim that this is a huge success, and that again, there's an unmet need for these kinds of webinars, and that keep an eye out. You're going to hear more announcements of future webinars coming along as we bring other folks in who are doing things, and then bring some of these folks back for more in-depth looks at their programs and efforts. So please send any messages or notes that you have, and keep in touch. Education@ases.org. And we'll look forward to seeing you if not before the holidays, in the next year. And thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ella.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks,
We'll
everyone.
be sending an email out soon and
Thank
with the
you.
recording. Bye. Happy holidays.
Happy
Hey,
holidays.
Ella, is this,
Thanks, everybody.
does the chat get recorded, and can you get a transcript of that? How do we get that?
Yeah, I'll send that out as well.
Okay, super.
Yeah, of course. Thank you again, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ella.
Bye.